Our purpose. An essay by James Mahu. Question. If we are to believe that we are a soul, and we are eternal therein, what then is our purpose for being installed inside a human body for 80 years in a reality that seems destined to be ruled by the follies of the lowest common denominator? The worst of us rules. So, in that chaos, what is our purpose if we are a soul? Answer. Your question is of 3 dimensions. The first is the idea of who we are, the soul. The second is the idea that the soul is installed within a human reality. The third is the notion that human reality is ruled by outside forces that represent our lowest common denominator. We can agree on the first one, we are indeed a soul, however, that definition of soul varies widely. Thus, it's worth the effort to provide a unifying definition. Our soul is an infinite state of consciousness that is within a local universe that spans multiple dimensions of spacetime. It is a unique expression of the one and all, as a result of its infinite journeying within spacetime dimensions. Our soul is interconnected to all infinite expressions of one and all. It is a lens of the all, and this lens looks outward as an infinite soul, and inward as a human being or a grasshopper or ficus plant. Our soul is what I refer to as the sovereign integral. It is the sovereign that is the infinite, individualized identity of the soul, and it is the integral that is the infinite hub in the network of sovereigns that constitutes the one and all. With that definition in mind, let's place our attention on the second construct, that the soul is installed within a human reality. In your choice of words, it would seem that you have a belief in predestination, as if an outside force or programmer installed the soul into the human matrix like an application is installed on an operating system inside a computer. The concept of predestination, or even the hint of diminished free will, exists because we assign human ignorance to the soul. We believe it is inept, dormant, unawake, and at the extreme, non-existent. If the soul is of this nature, then surely it cannot be in control. And if it is not in control, then it is an extension of fate, destiny, karma, sin, biology, etc. In other words, those forces control it. This is not the case if we understand the sovereign integral consciousness. The sovereign is the infinite self, it is this element that we truly are. This is the element that occupies the eternal moment. The physical bodies and their correlative local universes are the classrooms, the field trips, and experimental labs of our sovereign. The educational program and school itself is of our creation. And we do this principally through the tapestry of our beliefs and our understanding of the integral knowledge. Integral knowledge is the knowledge that we are both an infinite consciousness and interconnected to the wholeness of nature in all dimensions of existence. That this interconnection is carried out and enabled by an intelligence that we are all a part of, and in certainty, we learn from, live within, and express from our vibration of existence within our local universe. A consciousness of this nature is not able to dictate because the outcome of all learning would be inauthentic and therefore less meaningful. Free will was the required subsystem to evolve universal intelligence through experiential learning. Each of us, as sovereign integrals within spacetime, exist within free will to establish our beliefs as we desire. We also establish the extent of how conscious or unconscious we are of our self-created tapestry of beliefs. No one or no thing installs us upon a human matrix or gives us our beliefs. We are free, infinite beings interconnected within an infinitely evolving intelligence that is never singular, yet it lives as a unified intelligence. And this unified intelligence is what we are at that point of interconnection. At the point where we are a human being under the yoke of survival, we are generally not aware of this interconnection. Not even a tiny bit. At least for most of us. And yet, this idea of us being a slave or subject to an outside force, regardless of how we define this outside force, is proportional to its influence in our understanding of who we are. If we believe that demons, our karma, this prison reality, the powers that be, our sinful natures, our need to survival, and 100 other things are the outside forces that dictate how we believe and therefore how we live, then we succumb to a view of ourselves that is diminished. If we see ourselves as fragile, disconnected, and naive, we have donned the perspective of fate, existential destiny decreed by a superior power of one sort or another. We have become the effect of a cause we do not understand, and this feeling, this belief, is at the root of humanity's problems. Regardless of what we tell ourselves and others what we believe, we have a fundamental belief in this as a collective species at this time. We collectively believe, to one extent or another, that the lowest of our kind defines how we live. And this has never been true, nor will it ever. We are sovereigns, and each sovereign is integral with all other sovereigns. The number of sovereigns is infinite, not because they continue to be created, but because they transcend the worlds of numbers and words. There is an intelligence that none of us can fully appreciate. The vast majority of us humans do not even contemplate this intelligence, naively accepting the collective intelligence of the lowest common denominator of a human being. There is the collective intelligence of a planetary species, and there is the universal intelligence of an infinite being that is one and all, the collective of all species, of all spacetimes, all dimensions of an infinite multiverse. If we believe in the collective intelligence of a species and how it expresses itself through politics, religion, government, education, and so on, we can very quickly be confused and live in despair. If we believe in the collective, universal intelligence of an infinite being of which we are all a part, then we can begin to understand that no one dictates. No one defines our beliefs for the simple reason that our beliefs, the ones that are fundamental, are within each of us. We can be in prison or homeless, and yet still believe in these fundamental truths of who we are as a sovereign integral, as an infinite consciousness, as a member of the human species, as an individual human living day to day. We are all of those. They coexist. We have simply put our attention on the individual human first and last. We can believe we coexist in all of these states, and adopt this perspective as our practice of living day to day. It is the lens we use to look outward into our local universe. We invite and honor that part of us that is the sovereign integral consciousness, to live within our human self. To be present. To meet the lowest common denominator of our species with the highest common denominator of our true selves. Perhaps this is the purpose your questions really asked about. Perhaps, at the broadest level, this is why we live in a human body.